I think so as to include the people who are just frankly not interested in having a relationship with their parents, and they've ascertained, maybe very accurately, that it's not safe to be quote unquote honest with them. Sometimes the grounds for honesty aren't even there. I still think that the word honor, probably in its Hebrew form, if we took it a little more abstractly, would be to honor that my parents are who my parents are. I was born to who I was born to. I'm not going to curse my fate. I'm going to let it be. I'm going to leave. I'm going to stop trying to change who my parents are, stop trying to resist their imprint in me, and honor everything I've been given as an opportunity to get to know myself better, as an opportunity to get closer to God or whatever that higher power is, so that my parents no longer take on this villainous enemy quality in my narrative. Because I can tell you this, when I villainize my dad or my mom, the subtext of that sad story, or that sob story, is that I am weak, I am disconnected, they ruined something in me, they fractured my connection with who I was supposed to be. Well, that's a statement that's got nothing to do with them. That's my view of myself. The minute I can honor, and so if I imagine myself as someone who wants nothing to do with my parents, or maybe my parents are dead, or, incapable of relating with me, still, if I can just honor that what happened happened, and I am the product of everything that made them who they were, going back generations, then I'm living more in alignment with truth, and I'm not resisting it, and I'm not trying to cope or compensate. And it seems to me that there might be value in that.
Yeah, that was one point which I missed in my answer and intended to say, was that it's not only honoring our father, but by honoring our father, it's our father's father, mother's mother. It's like so on and so forth. It's where we come from, our heritage as well.
Yeah, and how I look at it is that whatever they did, they were the source of your life. They're the life source. So when you honor your mother and your father, you're not necessarily honoring or condoning perhaps even what they did.
Oh, certainly not.
But they did. They were the ones through whom life came into you, in the image creation, the form that you took. Creation used them as the vessels of creating you. So you're honoring the life source when you honor your father and your mother. And when I wished sometimes that Daniel would honor his parents more, it wasn't because I wanted something from him, or maybe I did, but that's not but that wasn't the gist of it. That's not what I meant by it. Whatever, there might have been something that I wanted from him, but really it's something I wanted for him, which is that he can live a life without resentment.
Right.
And like you've said yourself, that you've been grateful for your experience of abuse in a certain sense, for the wealth of wisdom or spiritual growth, connection with yourself that ultimately yielded to you.
Absolutely.
In that same sense. And in other words, you dropped all kinds of resentment. So the honoring of the father and the mother is also the dropping of resentment about one's fate and one's existence and embracing of life. So that's what I think that commandment actually means, in a lot of ways.
I would add to it that I think that doing the opposite would be dishonoring of the parents.
Yeah.
If we were condoning, let's say, actions which weren't okay, or if we were not doing what a lot of people traditionally do with that statement, or the way I see some parents use it, is, hey, especially in religion, hey, it says to honor me. Easy. I'm going to honor by speaking truthfully. Right. And by clearly communicating and by explaining how it affected me. One thing I often, I work with a lot of people who are addicts or families of addicts. That they reach out to me. I do this podcast, and they want to discuss things. And actually, before I say that, I have a question for you. I get a lot of phone calls. Most of my calls are not from the person who needs help. Mm-hmm. They do, but they don't see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And they call me about their son or daughter who is struggling, their sibling, their spouse. What do you do with this?
You show them chapter 32 of the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, because what I say to people is, first of all, in this book, The Myth of Normal, we cite an acquaintance of mine, an American physician, psychiatrist, who's from the Lakota tradition, Lakota background. Mm-hmm. In the Lakota tradition, when somebody gets sick, the community says, thank you.
To the person who got sick.
Yeah.
He took one for the team.
Yeah, your illness represents some dysfunction in the community. Your illness manifests something about us as a group.
I love this.
And so your healing is our healing. Now, that's not only spiritually the fact, it's also scientifically the fact that people's illnesses represent their relationships. We've talked about that in our previous conversation. So when families call, as you said, they don't. That person's addiction came from somewhere, and that person's addiction came usually because they were the most sensitive member of the family who downloaded all the family's trauma, and then their addiction is them to escape from it. But they're not just trying to escape from their own trauma; they're trying to escape from the family's trauma that the family unwittingly passed on to them. So the healing of that individual is so much more plausible and possible and attainable if the whole family takes on the task of healing. So I point that out to families if I can, so that don't wait for that person to heal. Get on the healing journey yourselves. That's the first point. The second point I make is you can have three choices. Two of them are sane, reasonable. One is not. One sane choice is to say to that person, I'm not going to judge you for your addiction, but I can't be around it. I can't stand it. I don't know what to do with it. It hurts me too much. I can't be in your life.
Detached.
That's fair enough. I love you. I but I just can't be around it. I can't handle it. I don't have the strength to handle it.
It makes sense.
That's fine. The other thing you can do is, your addiction is hurting you, and it hurts my heart to see you addicted. But I also understand that this is your journey. I have no say in how your journey should go. It's your journey. You're going to have to figure this out for yourself when you're ready for it. And I'll be here for you, and I'm here for you now. And however difficult it is, I just want to be part of your life. That's also totally sane and reasonable.
Provided that you're not getting dragged into the...
No, well, that's the whole point.
My hand is open. You can grab it whenever you want.
But also I'll see you and I'll have a meal with you. I'm not going to disappear from your life. The insane, but I'm not going to try and change you.
Right.
The insane one. So those are the two healthy choices. The unhealthy choice is, I'm going to be in your life, cajole you and beg you and encourage you and push you and manipulate you and force you and shame you and beg you.
Or pay you, bribe you.
Into changing. That's the insane one. Do one of the first two. Don't do the third one.